Thank you, Acting CEO, the FDB Board Chair and Directors, of course, Minister of Agriculture, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji, Your Excellency, the other representatives of the various diplomatic missions here in Fiji, and our development partners, including our GCF members, and all the other guests, ladies and gentlemen. Bula Binak, and a very good afternoon to you all. Some of you may know this weekend marked a very somber milestone for the planet. Saturday, the 22nd of August, was calculated as Earth Overshot Day, the day determined by experts that humanity used up all of the biological resources that Earth can possibly renew this year. That means, as of this weekend, humanity has drained life-sustaining assets like forests, fish stocks, and fossil fuels faster than it can annually regenerate, and that deficit will continue to mount for the next 4 months of 2020. But in Fiji, we can be proud to answer the arrival of that somber occasion with action. Today, we are announcing that the Fiji Development Bank has successfully secured funding of US $5 million as an official accredited entity of the Green Climate Fund. These funds will go towards a new solar and agriculture project in Ovalau, which is a total value of US $10 million. This new project's technical designation is an agro-photovoltaic project. Basically, it means we are co-developing the same land for farming and solar power purposes. If you've ever seen a solar power plant, you may notice it was built on the same flat, cleared land suited for farming. As a result, such parcels of land were often in competition, forcing governments to choose between one sector or the other. Do we build energy independence or strengthen food security? The answer wasn't always obvious, but that's the problem agro-photovoltaic or APV projects fix. Ovalau will soon be home for the first ever AVP project funded by the GCF. The Green Climate Fund is the single largest source of multilateral climate finance in the world, with a total funding capacity of over US $10.3 billion. Back in 2017, the FDB became accredited as a GCF National Direct Access Entity, the first Pacific Development Bank to do so, which opened access to US $10 million in grant funding per project. Direct access to the GCF isn't granted to every Tom, Dick and Mary. It requires a strenuous, stringent process of accreditation which demands high organizational capacity, a core focus on national development, strong climate credentials, and proven project implementation, particularly when it comes to grassroots development. As part of the accreditation process, the FDB has transformed into a Green Development Bank, one that implements strict internal social and environmental safeguards. Now, those long months of preparation that went into securing the FDB's accreditation have obviously paid off for the benefit of everyday Fijians. The Fiji APV project is a history maker in more ways than one. It is the first ever FDB GCF project, the first ever APV project approved by GCF, the first ever mitigation-centric GCF project for Fiji, and one of the first ever private sector climate projects for the Pacific. Obviously, with many more hopefully to follow. The first APV project establishes a 4 megawatt solar energy generation facility with a battery energy storage system, or generally called BESS, of 5 megawatt hours. Tall solar panels will be installed on over 7 hectares of agricultural land in Bureta, Ovalau. And underneath each panel, we will plant resilient, high-value crops for commercial agriculture, like tomatoes, lettuce, and capsicum. Right now, Ovalau's nearly 10,000 residents are 100% dependent on diesel generators. This project will cut that reliance by more than half, bringing dependence on diesel generators down to 57%. That's over 4,500 tons of emissions averted. And the agricultural component of the project is expected to yield over 100,000 kilograms of crops in a year, feeding, employing, and earning an income for Fijians living in Bureta and across the island's 27 communities. From a community perspective, this project holds special importance for women and young people who have the chance to learn new farming techniques, creating jobs in our agriculture sector at a time when we badly need those jobs. Fijians in these communities, including women, will be trained in solar photovoltaic operation and maintenance, helping them develop one of this century's most useful skill sets, given the surging rise in renewables. The Fiji APV project carries huge capacity for scalability across Fiji, an aspect the FDB will back ambitiously. Community by community, farm by farm, we can replicate this model, put a serious dent in Fiji's diesel reliance, build up our food security, and chart a resilient path towards net zero emissions. The reality is, Fiji is blessed among Pacific Island countries with natural advantages that give us remarkable renewable energy potential. We have a mountainous geography and powerful rivers that flow from the highlands to the sea. We have wind potential and large tracts of land well suited for solar power generation. On Overlau, Energy Fiji Limited's operations. Excuse me, it's air conditioning. On Overlau, Energy Fiji Limited's operations will become more efficient with this APV project. But we have more work to do across the country and much more to achieve net zero emissions. And Fiji, through the FDB, is committed to seeing that work done, not because we are a large emitter, but because we have the political and administrative will to lead by example, the will to show the world how carbon neutral progress can be charted. As part of the journey, I urge the chairman of FDB, the new chairman of FDB, congratulations Andre, to pursue a higher level of GCF accreditation in the near future, opening up US $50 million in funding. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, this project would not have been possible without the strong support of the Korean government, the Korean International Cooperation Agency, or commonly known as KOICA. Specifically, KOICA's grant contribution of US $4 million to purchase the 5 megawatt hour battery energy storage system for the solar photovoltaic component of the project. The agriculture component of the project will also be funded by KOICA through a separate project in coordination with FDB. As part of the soon-to-be finalized partnership, the Ministry of Agriculture will operate a dedicated climate-centric agriculture research station near the project site. On the subject of farming, this project represents an opportunity to make our farmers more than primary producers by making the move into value-added operations. Our latest national budget slashed duties on close to 2,000 items, including machinery that can help add serious value within our agriculture sector. Our new micro, small and medium business loans will also be targeted towards budding farmers looking to start and expand agro-businesses. And in many of Fiji's staple crop industries like coconut growing, we're making the move to value-adding operations, taking advantage of Fiji's global brand for quality and sustainability. That obviously must continue. The crops produced in Fiji's AVP project now and moving forward should be value-added crops that reach more customers and build local industry and potentially target the export market. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when Fiji campaigns for climate action on the world stage, and when our Honourable Prime Minister sits across from the world's most influential decision makers behind the global economy, we no doubt wield a powerful moral imperative. Our people are suffering for some of the most severe climate impacts, yet we've done next to nothing to actually cause this crisis. But moral imperative isn't always enough. We must lead with action. We must light the way forward by doing. That's what the FDB is helping us do today. And as we reduce our emissions, we're also building resilience. We're also strengthening food security. We're also creating jobs. We're showing how climate consciousness and its progress can be achieved. But as proud as we are to welcome funding for this project, we must recognize that the level of financial mobilization required to meet our national climate ambitions far outweighs current level of climate finance available to us. Particularly now, as the coronavirus pandemic has dealt a serious blow to small island developing states who badly need to finance climate adaptation. And as we look to our recovery, accessible and affordable crisis financing must rapidly materialize to support the most vulnerable economies. We cannot allow climate action to fall casualty to COVID-19. Nor can the big blue ideas needed to spare our oceans further degradation. Alongside larger, more developed nations, small island developing countries must build back better, bluer and greener. The world economy must recover more inclusively, more equitably, and with innovation top of mind. And rather than simply reset or rebuild, we must reimagine how our multilateral systems respond to humanity's greatest challenges. At the moment, global climate finance frameworks are still dated, inflexible, and carry many hyper-prescriptive designations, all of which must give way to inclusive architectures and tailored solutions. And Fiji will keep our voice on the front lines of the international effort to finance an inclusive COVID-19 recovery and over the longer term, a climate-resilient world. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Honourable Minister, Governor, I congratulate once again FDB for this success. Thank you, Koika, once again for its phenomenal support